little bit more about what you're really doing and what we weren't able to learn about the company on the web until just a little bit ago.
Talking about the colleague that had the iPad. I'm the colleague that had the iPad and did the whole presentation on the iPad, even brought the VGA adapter, and in the end, somewhere between up here, back there, and that projector, the whole thing doesn't want to work. So the worst part about this is that you're going to miss out on all of the nifty effects that come with doing Keynote, et cetera, et cetera. So as mentioned, I'm Joe Pezzillo. I'm a co-founder of Push.io, and today we're going to talk a little bit about kind of where we see the opportunity and what we think is happening with the application space. So a couple of different things that we want to talk about. Let's jump to the first one here. First of all, and I'm probably telling you things you already know, users have spoken. Whether or not apps are going to last forever, which we think they will, users have spoken that apps are the way they like to consume content. For example, given the choice of having Facebook on the web on your phone and having the Facebook application on your phone, people are choosing the Facebook application. And if you look and see in this chart, it took Apple basically a year to go to 2 billion downloads of applications from the iTunes Store. Now, what happened after that? This chart, and oh, I'm sorry, I got to do the other one here. This chart, and if you can see the vertical line there, in the approximately 6 months following the 2 billion downloads, they doubled the number again, 4 billion downloads as of April 20th. So there's a variety of reasons that this is important, and just to point out there that the thing that's working not only is for users like apps, developers like apps, because there's a clear business model that goes with it, and that creates the happy capitalist pig icon, emoticon that's at the end of that last line there. So going another step forward here. The other reason that you should be focused on building applications, even if you have an existing web service, is because of the way the mobile application makes your web property more successful. And here's a pretty clear example of that. So everyone's heard of Twitter by now, of course. And people obviously think Twitter, and Twitter did, of course, start with SMS. It was a mobile service from the get-go. It was not as if iPhone, they decided to go mobile because of iPhone. But Twitter was a relatively, it wasn't obscure, but it was still a relatively small service for quite some time. It has really only gotten into the hockey stick in the last little while. And when you take a look at the chart here, you can see, and I had to put a couple charts together, but all the charts agree that the hockey stick started there in approximately sometime toward the beginning of 2009. All right, now let's take a look at the iPhone growth chart. All right, so this is a similar concept here. I've had to put a couple of different charts together, but they all also agree that the hockey stick basically started approximately, let's say, September of 2008. All right, well, what happens if we combine those charts and look at what this means? If you look, you can see by overlaying the charts, and what I've had to do here is make sure that the chronology matches up, that the growth of the iPhone preceded the growth of Twitter by approximately 3 months. We don't think that this is accidental. We think that there's a very clear correlation in that. All right, here's our big prediction. Everyone is going to have an application. Everyone. And we're not being just sort of metaphorical about this. Let's talk about exactly what we're saying. You might have seen some of these numbers earlier. As of 2009, there were more than 3 billion cell phones, unique subscribers of cell phone services worldwide. That's a lot of people. All right, so maybe let's say 3 billion. I don't know for sure that I'm ready to say that there are going to be 3 billion applications. But what's another good parallel we can draw? Well, how about the growth in domain names? For the first 7 years of domain names, it went from 0 to 15,000 domain names. 7 years to get 15,000 domain names. Then what happened after that? That first chart is gone. The first chart is completely obliterated by the fact that for the next 15 years, 20 years or so, we went from 15,000 domain names to 84 million domain names in use as of March 15th, according to Wikipedia. That, I think, is pretty much the number that we're probably going to end up with the number of applications that will exist ultimately. Now, I know you're thinking that's kind of crazy, and also it doesn't necessarily match up. We're talking about domains, we're talking about downloads, the numbers. These are a little bit apple and oranges. But think about the number of unique titles on the App Store. In less than 2 years, it's gone from 0 to 200,000 unique titles of applications on the App Store. So when I say that everyone will have, have their own application, there are obviously a variety of different ways that that's going to play out. But one of the key things is people are actually getting their own applications already. Here's an example of a couple of leading-edge folks who've actually got branded applications of their own personality, their own content, the things that they're doing. Now, yes, frequently these people are bloggers. Frequently these people have other motivations for their personal brand. But if you think about the fact that these people are already leading-edge indicators of where things are headed, this is a clear sign to us that literally everyone is going to have an application. So there are people who disagree, and I'm sure there will hopefully be some discussion about this. According to ABI Research, they think that the app downloads are going to peak in 2013, and after that it's going to revert back to the mobile web. That's not a, it's a pretty decent assumption to have, but why might they be wrong? What might be wrong about this? Why do we think they're wrong, and why do we think everybody's going to have an application? All right. Fundamentally, what we look at is that the base layer, HTTP, we all own that. And thus, we kind of communist. www, when you think about social media and social applications and social websites, they are valuable because there are lots of people there who have connections. Apps are the capitalist model. And the apps are the capitalist model because there's a clear business definition from the get-go, and there's a relationship between individuals and the businesses. Now, why would the HTTP model that other people think is going to happen not happen? We think this quote really sums it up. Frank Zappa said, "Communism will never work because people like to own stuff." All right, well, what does that mean? So when you think about it, have you ever thought, hey, where's my phone? Has anybody seen my phone? Of course, you think about that all the time. You never think about, hey, where's my web server? Hey, where's my Gmail? Apps, when you have the physical act, even if the licensing is different, when you download an application to your phone and put the phone in your pocket, you perceive that you own the application. With Gmail, with document-based, with cloud services, you will never, ever perceive that you own that product or that service, even if it's your content. So this is the plan that we suggest for you, and this is the reason that we think this is going to happen. First of all, the app explosion is just beginning. We're at the first 2 years of this. And if you think about the evolution of the web and the evolution of domain names, it's going to be huge. Second, app frameworks and generators, for example, Mobile Roadie that you saw earlier and some of the other products that were mentioned, those products make it one button, one click to create an application. Why wouldn't you create an application if you've got an application generator that makes it work? When you think about the iAd platform that's just been introduced, those are going to be applications inside of applications. So the explosion of applications has only barely begun. iAd isn't even available yet. And so we also think that the application itself is the platform. And we think, and the recommendations that were in the previous presentation were right on the money in terms of where you should be thinking and where you're heading, although we see a lot of business opportunity with iPhone right now. So let me tell you a little bit about Push.io. What we've built is a mobile engagement engine. We have a component that does real-time sports, real-time data. We do a lot of work with the sports industry in the United States. We do a lot of work for broadcasters. We're doing work with publishers. We're enabling some of those application generators to have push notifications and other technologies in them that get content, relevant content, into users' hands immediately or as quickly as possible, and that then basically make it possible for all sorts of people to suddenly provide that engagement and that relationship with their customers. So here's an example of one of the things we did. We built the whole application, in this case for NCAA, for the Final Four, big basketball, one of the biggest sporting events in the United States. You'd get a notification on your screen. In this case, it was on the iPad. You would tap on the view, and in an instant, you'd be taken to a photograph that was taken less than 60 seconds ago at the event. Now, these are the kinds of things. These photographs used to require a magazine, right? You'd have to wait for a month or two before you'd see that photograph show up on Sports Illustrated. Now it's there instantly. So another thing that we're doing right now is we've pushed more than 100 million of these notifications for a variety of different applications. We started exclusively on iPhone. Now we've moved to iPad. We would gladly do other platforms. There's no business. There's the statistic I saw the other day is that 99.5% of all app revenues last year went to iPhone, and that's why people are focused on iPhone. A couple credits I want to provide. I believe this gentleman, Simon Buckingham, actually came up with that term, appitalism. Dan Burkaw, the co-founder of the company, is the one who observed the Twitter correlation, and I was hoping that we'd have this final line that it was shown on the iPad as well, but it wasn't. And I'd be happy to tell you more. We encourage you to get in touch. And I want to thank you very, very much for the opportunity to present here. It's been an honor. Thank you.